Hey you, I'm so glad you're here today. I'm Jenny Prochko from Owls and Indigo, and I make videos about secular spirituality, writing and journaling prompts, little tidbits about the moon, and how to move through the lunar phases with your goal setting, mental health and awareness, and my story. Today I wanted to share with you the books that started my journey when it came to herb crafting, foraging for herbs, and then also started my practice into medicinal herbs that I use on myself. So I have a range of books here. I have encyclopedias for herbs and medicinal information, and then also foraging books and just kind of like story time books. So let's go ahead and get into this stack of books and see what started my medicinal herb journey. This is the Rodale's Illustrated Encyclopedia of Herbs. As you can see, there are a ton of sticky notes here. This is a really great book to have in your collection if you like to forage for herbs or if you want to learn more about just any herb. I go to this a lot when I'm looking for a new herb. So the thing that I like about this book most is it has sketches of what the herbs look like. Flip to a random sticky note one that I have. This is aloe, and you can see there's a sketch down here. There's also information in this book about the cultivation of the herb, the growing zones. It also has the history of the herbs, its uses, a description, the growing conditions, cultivation, and a little bit of history behind the plant. There's also indicators in here that say, like it's only for external use. And there are some other ones that you can use internally. There's also a lot of really beautiful full color photos in here as well. This is just a beautiful book to look at. I also really like this book when I want to sketch versions of the plants in my own journals or if I'm making an art piece. This is a really great book for an artist as well to use as a reference. The next set of books that I really got into actually came to me from my husband. This was towards the beginning of our relationship many moons ago, and I had just started really getting into medicinal herbs and trying to learn more and just beef up my knowledge about medicinal herbs, like what to use and what not to use and what to completely stay away from. And he suggested to me Tom Brown's Guide to Edible and Medicinal Plants. I really love this book and really love the series. He originally was introduced to this book from the Ukrainian Boy Scouts, and this has a lot of really great information in it. This one is written more in kind of like a story. Tom Brown talks to his grandfather, and it's not like a metaphorical grandfather, it's his actual grandfather, and his grandfather has all of this information about medicinal herbs and how to find them and use them. And his grandfather goes into the spiritual connection with the plants, and I thought that was really interesting. I really like the balance of the spirituality aspect and also the medicinal knowledge that this book has, and it also shows you how to forage for plants as well and what to look for in the area. One of the first herbs that I really got to know was mullein. For mullein in this book, there's the description, the personality of the plant, so that's kind of like the spirituality side that I was talking about, where you can find it, whether or not it can be used for food, and then its medicinal properties. I think that this is a really great book if you want a gentle way into learning about medicinal plants. So the other books in this collection, I'm pretty sure we have all of them. There's Tom Brown's Guide to Wild and Edible Medicinal Plants. Then there's also Tom Brown's Field Guide to Nature Observation and Tracking. I really like this. This is actually the one that my husband used in the Scouts, and it's really cool. It's got a lot of really great information about tracking animals in North America. And then the three that I added to our Tom Brown collection after getting to know those first two books: Tom Brown's Field Guide to City and Urban Survival, Tom Brown's Field Guide to Nature and Survival for Children, and then also Tom Brown's Field Guide Wilderness Survival. We're both really outdoorsy people and we love to camp, and these books were actually a really great place for us to start bonding in our relationship. And I am really grateful that I ran into these books. If you're looking for something that is like an easier read when it comes to medicinal herbs and isn't just a straight up encyclopedia, I highly recommend all of Tom Brown's books. Another book that is really similar to the feel of the Tom Brown books is Healing Wise, and this is by Susan Weed. Honestly, when I first started reading this book, I did not like it. It was too woo-woo-y for me. It just didn't feel as grounded in reality as I wanted when I first started learning about the medicinal aspects of herbs. But I've actually really grown to love this book. This book has a lot of really beautiful illustrations. Here is Violet. I actually wanted to color in these illustrations when I first got the book. I didn't. I really had to keep myself from doing that. Here's another Violet illustration. So this book is like you were having a conversation with the plants and getting to know them and getting to know the history behind them. That at first is what turned me off from this book, and it just wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for real medicinal knowledge, and this is more of like the folklore. And now as I look at it as like a folklore book, I really, really appreciate it. And I like the stories behind each of the plants. So what you can expect in this book from an entry about a plant is a conversation with the plant to start off, and then it goes into the facts about the plant. So it has the botanical name, other species that are related to it, its natural order, English names, Chinese names, French names, a bunch of different languages, and what this plant is called in those languages. Also the food uses, perfume uses, the habitat that you can find it in, the natural range, toxicity, and how you can identify these plants. So it has a page with all of the facts for each plant. And next in this book is a plant log. So this is how you would find the plant in the habitat, what to look for, the type of climate conditions that you would find it in, and also the conditions where it won't be growing and the seasons where you won't see it. And then after that is the plant properties and uses, and then there's a lot of different little entries about how to use the actual flower portion, and then how to use the roots and whether or not you can use either of those. And this just keeps going. This book only features a few plants, but it's a really more in-depth entry onto the spiritual side of the plant, and then also the real practical usage and how to find the plant. There's also a pharmacy section, and I'm looking at the violet one right now. So it says Violet Pharmacy, and then it has recipes for violet vinegar that you can use for salad dressings, Rosemary's Violet Moon Dreams Brew, which is a drink. I haven't actually had this recipe, but I have had a violet drink before, and it's very good, and it's so easy to make too. There's also a violet complexion lotion, violet syrup. There's a lot of recipes in here. It just keeps going. And then the next section is violets in the kitchen. So this gives you like a full recipe. So there's a recipe in here called creamy violet green soup. It's got the entire recipe. So it's got like olive oil, wild leeks, violet leaves, water, salt and pepper, milk. It's got the entire recipe. There's a couple of soup recipes in here for violets. Actually, I think I may have to try some of those in the spring and get back to you on whether or not they're tasty. And then at the end of each plant entry in Healing Wise by Susan Weed, there's Violet Fun Facts. This has little tidbits like violets were mentioned by Shakespeare in Hamlet and in Pericles. Violets grown by your doorstep offer powerful psychic protection and ease for your heart. Violets were the emblem of the Imperial Napoleonic Party. This one's kind of funny. Wear a wreath of violet blossoms and leaves as a way to ward off drunkenness. And if that doesn't work, it will prevent a hangover. So it's little things like that that are folklore, and some little mythology story bits in there, like this next one. I didn't know this one. Violet is the flower of Aphrodite and the symbol of Athens. That's pretty cool. So this book has a lot of information in it, and it just has a few plants in it, but I really enjoy it. This book is like if you were to blend all the information on a plant for folklore, medicinal uses, how to find the herb and cultivate the herbs, and then also fun facts that are like pop culture facts about the herb. So this is a really interesting book. I actually need to get more by Susan Weed. I'm definitely going to be adding to my collection. So those were the books that started my journey into medicinal herbs. I had a few that were more on the folklore side and more of the mythology behind the plants. And then I have a lot of real-world encyclopedia books. I even have an antique field guide book that's really beautiful that I just got recently. Let me know in the comments down below if you want a full tour of the books that I have in my medicinal herbal collection. I have books in there that are about the folklore of the plants, and then also books that are straight up medicinal and field guides on how you can find the plants. So let me know in the comments down below if you'd be interested in something like that. So I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to share. You can catch me over on Instagram at alzindigo, that's where I am most, or over on alzindigo.com, where I share weekly spirituality tips, little writing and journaling prompts, little tidbits about the moon and how to move through the lunar phases with your goal setting, mental health and awareness, and my story. I'm so grateful that you chose to spend your time here with me today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.